Dr. Blake Jones, and thank you so much for joining us today on the Guided Podcast. I'm joined by one of my very longtime friends. Probably, I was thinking maybe 30 years now we have known each other.
I think so.
It's been a while, Rob.
I think so.
And, you've been such a great friend, a mentor to me. We go to concerts together. We have a lot of different relationships, and we'll talk about all of those. But thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
I'm excited to have this kind of a conversation. We've talked about many, many things over the years, and just to spend some time doing that.
We sure have. Well, one of the reasons I wanted you to come on is because you're sort of toward the end of your career as a therapist.
Very much.
Maybe 50-ish years you're working on being a therapist. And I guess I would just want to ask you, if you think back 50 years ago, what drew you into this line of work? What really said, that's what I want to do as a profession?
Well, it's interesting. I think if I go back to the beginning, actually what I was looking at doing was becoming a minister. I was in college and kind of had a double major in psychology and religious studies, biblical studies. I can't remember what it was. And the more I got into the psychology classes, I had two amazing, probably even to this day, one of them is one of my long-standing mentors, who was a psychologist that actually trained with Carl Rogers. So, so I think that I had this shift from, I really felt like what I wanted to do was work with people more one-on-one. And the experience of working with Dr. Holland just really, I shifted fully, chose to go to graduate school rather than to seminary, and I can honestly say I have never regretted the decision to become a counselor, to be a therapist. It's been an amazing journey of almost 50 years that I've been in the field in one capacity or another. Yeah. So, kind of reflecting over those decades of time that you've been doing this, what are some of the major changes that you've seen in counseling over those years? Well, I think I've had the amazing privilege to be involved with some directions that are very common in the field now. Sort of at the beginning. And so I think the thing that hits me most now is, we called the 90s the decade of the brain.
Right.
And I think we've been living in the application phase ever since. And I think so the ways that we understand neuroscience, the ways that we understand human behavior, the brain, the holistic reality of how we're wired has been one of the big developments that I've seen. We went from a very behavioral, when I first started in the 70s. And then, now we just really look at, I think, the individual sitting in front of me, and I'm sitting with more holistically. And it's just been really exciting to watch that. To watch that develop. I remember being at one of the early workshops on neuroscience of behavior and talking about being applied neuroscientist. That as counselors, as therapists, that's kind of what we are.
Right.
And I was in a talk with Dan Siegel that we were throwing that phrase around, and I think that's been one of the really exciting parts for me.
Are you concerned at all that the brain research will lead to, or is leading to, more of the medicalization of mental health and mental disorders, and that we're losing the human part of kind of what you and I do?
Yeah. Well, I think I kind of feel like we're a little bit past that. Mm-hmm. There was a time where, the whole reality of we have a medicine for everything, right? And now this is going to be the medicine that does this or that for depression, or this or that for, bipolar, and what we've found is okay, yeah, nice, it's helpful, but what we do of really applying the tools that neuroscience has offered us. Just even as simple as very deliberate breath work. Yeah. Really being able to understand the pathways of the vagus nerve and how we can activate the different parts of our neurological system and its connection to the body, that I don't think medicine will be the answer. Yeah. And so I think there's in some ways been a greater reemergence of a more holistic. Yeah. And in some ways the convergence of neuroscience and spiritual traditions from, for centuries. Yeah. And having some of those spiritual practices actually be seen as converging or in some ways validated by what we're understanding about how we're wired. Yeah. So that's been, I think, a new openness to that. Yeah. I think my practice this year had a holistic healing retreat for therapists, and it was very well attended, and it was, I learned a lot about sound baths and just sort of holistic modalities like that was really fascinating. And I at this stage of my life and career, I'm actually learning how to do Reiki. And just the reality that at our most rudimentary, we're energy. It's about energy, and just so that kind of energy work has been really interesting. Yeah, and there's so many things that if I was 20 years younger, I'd want to learn more about and pursue more. And I thought, well, I'll just do this one. Yeah. And so I've just been working with a Reiki teacher and learning more about it. And just doing the ways in which it fits within a holistic approach to counseling. Yeah. That's one of the things I've always loved about you, is that you always are seeking and learning and recreating, and that kind of leads into my question of, you're going on 50 years. I'm almost at 30 years being a therapist, and it's hard work sometimes if you're a good therapist. If you care about it and you really work on it, it's hard. Yeah. Yesterday I had, I think, 7 people, which is unusual. I try not to have that many, but I did yesterday. Several couples, difficult clients, lots of trauma and just stuff in relationships. And by last night, I texted my wife. I said, I'm probably not going to be a very good husband or father tonight, and I'm really sorry, but I just need to rest or take a walk or something. Yeah. And I guess I'm curious, how have you sustained your curiosity, your energy over all these years in your work? Yeah. Well, I think the word that you used, that to me has just always been part of my approach is two things. One is remain flexible and remain curious. Mm-hmm. And so I think being able to sustain it over the years, and part of that has been I'm just a very curious person. Mm-hmm. I find people's narratives, people's stories, endlessly fascinating, mm-hmm. And I get energy from that. And I think the other piece of it is you have to develop an ability to absorb it, process it as you're working with the person, and then being able to let it go. Mm-hmm. And I'm not always sure how I've done that. Mm-hmm. It's an intuitive to me process. I think being able to practice with the client, I begin and end sessions a lot of times with just grounding and breathing. Mm-hmm. And so that to me, becomes one way of just, I describe my office as sometimes as a toxic waste dump. You come in and you dump it, and hopefully you don't take all of it back out. Yeah. But as you leave it, I got to clear it as well. Yeah. And so sometimes just regrounding myself with remembering to breathe, mm-hmm. And being very deliberate about that. Yeah. And just knowing that when the door closes and we're there together, you have my full presence, my full attention. Right. When the door opens, I'm on to the next person. Yeah. And it's not fair to the next person to still be, holding too much of what I've absorbed in the previous. And so there's just a practice of absorbing and then letting go. Yeah. I think everyone who does this over time has to have their way of their practice for doing that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's so vital. I 100% agree with you on that. I've tried in my career to do exactly, and I think when you were sort of meeting with me for supervision mm-hmm. and things, we talked a lot about this, that it's absolutely crucial that you focus, do a good job in session, and then when that door closes, that person is sort of like mm-hmm. out of your mind, and that may seem kind of cold to some people, but it's protective. It's really protective. And I know the therapists that I know who are burned out and not very good at their job are the ones that have no boundaries, right. And they take all that stuff home with them, and they worry about it, and they're texting with their clients and they're emailing them, and it's just all the time. They're in that therapeutic mode, and they're exhausted. Yeah. And I'll even say it to clients, it's like, no, I'm on to the next. Yeah. Well, how do you, it's like, that's what I do. Yeah. And that's why I can give you what I give you. Exactly. Here. Yeah. I am fully here. And I'm releasing you back to the world. Yeah. 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 I read one time years ago about this topic, and one of the therapists I read said that she had a circular, just a piece of like a bowl or something mm-hmm. in her office, and she sort of touched that mm-hmm. and felt that, and it reminded her that we're sort of just a stop along the way for people, an important stop. I mean, mm-hmm. this work is important, but we're one of many people that touch their lives and right. interact with them and that help them, mm-hmm. and we need to remember that we're not their savior. I think that's one of the ways I think I stay sane in this all these years is I really look at it as an alliance that's about power with mm-hmm. rather than power over. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think people sometimes come to us like we're the experts. Mm-hmm. Okay? And I said, I'll sometimes say to clients, I have way too many clients to be an expert on everybody. Mm-hmm. Okay, the goal is for you to be the expert on you. Yeah. What I'm really good at is helping people look at themselves in a way that invites change. That's my expertise, and that's what I bring. But the power over, I experienced that early in my career in a couple of places where I worked, where it was definitely, I'm the expert and you're not.
Right.
And so that never fit.
Yeah.
I never felt comfortable.
Yeah.
With that in my early in my career, and that the whole power with and what do I bring, and my expertise is well, in the old days we were agents of change, was one of the phrases that was thrown around a lot back in the day. Yeah.
I want to jump back into spirituality for a second, because you said that you had intended to be a minister of some kind, and thought about going to seminary and all that. But I know that you are a person of faith, and
very much.
And faith is important to you as it is to me. And I think we're similar in that our faith is sort of lived out. I don't call myself a Christian counselor. I don't believe that you do, but I am a counselor who's a Christian and try to live my faith out in the world through service and music. We're going to talk about music and my family and, in those ways. But I wonder if you could just kind of talk a little bit more about your sense of spirituality and faith, and maybe that tension between the language of faith and the language of therapy.
Yeah. Well, I think I am. I don't. It's not a secret. If clients ask me, I will tell them. My faith is very important to me. I've been around long enough that most people come knowing to some degree that's part of who I am. But yeah, it's never been, as you said, identified as the Christian counselor. So for me, the word or the way I describe it most of the time, and talking with folks about faith or about spirituality, is I look at spirituality as what is it that gives my life meaning, purpose, and direction. And for me, that's grounded in my faith. That I see myself as a servant. I see myself as how can I be, in essence, whether they know it or not, how can I be Christ to the people that I work with? And so I try to come from a place of compassion, of love, and really be able to hope that people can experience the relationship with me as one that's about, it's non-judgmental. It is about compassion for them and helping them have compassion for themselves. And it's not, to me, any religious instruction. It's just living it, and allowing people to believe that they are, we've talked about this before. There's a word that we don't really use in the therapy world to describe it, but it's about love. It's like, you're not supposed to talk about love. It's about loving your clients or whatever. But for me, the base of that spirituality is honesty and love. I want to be truthful with these folks, and I want them to know that they are loved. That this is a safe place. And if when spirituality, when faith comes up for a lot of folks, it's not always in the most positive way.
It's painful.
It's people who have been traumatized, who have been damaged by their faith or the religious experience. So really walking people and walking with people through that.
Yeah.
And sadly, we as believers have done a lot of damage to our brothers and sisters in the name of, you know. There's a Bruce Cockburn song, right? About justice, you know. What's been done in the name of Jesus? What's been done in the name of Islam? What's been in the name of Buddha? What's been done in the name of man? We all want justice done on somebody else,
right?
You know, and so it's just that we've done a lot of damage.
Yeah,
and I think that's, without moving into a different vein, I think it's especially difficult now.
Yes,
with the way our world has been divided, like I've never truly, have never seen this kind of division, especially in the name of faith, especially in the name of God.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, that's probably a whole other podcast that we'll get into at some point. Well, you brought up Bruce Cockburn, and so I love that. And one of the things I love about you is that you love music and specifically love Bruce Cockburn. I heard about him 30 years ago. I was a student at Berea College, and one of my friends handed me a cassette tape. And it's like, you really need to listen to this guy. I think you'd like him. Yeah. And I was like, wow. Yeah. Just his writing and his musicianship, but just the things, he's really a poet who writes music. And so I wonder if you could just talk about your love of him, your love of music, and how that informs your practice. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking I probably heard Bruce the first time late 70s. And then he hit it for a bit with Wondering Where the Lions Are, and Dancing in the Dragon's Jaw. But I think to me he's such a visual storyteller. The ways that he puts together images, but just have always fascinated me. And even just describing a gasoline slick on the road, in such poetic ways, and also in some really dark ways. I mean, he doesn't shy away from the wonder and the ugly. And so I've always appreciated
is a great example of that. Yeah.
So I've always really appreciated his ability to bring it all together, and that he doesn't preach. It's not, no offense to contemporary Christian music, but it's not. It's not preachy. It's I think he wrestles with what we all wrestle with, and just does it in a way that just continues after all these years, continues to grab me. When we saw him in Cincinnati several months ago, it was like, wow, he's what? 80?
Just turned 80. Yeah.
And still out there, hunched over and working the guitar. Yeah. But I music has always been one of the things that has been a respite. Whether it's just being able to get absorbed in a song, and I talk with clients sometimes about what's we talk about mantras and what's the song that is playing in your head, and let's see if we can look at a song. We get earworms. Let's at least have one that does something to remind you of your work, your worth, rather than tearing you down.
Yeah.
And so I don't know why this one popped back up for me recently, but there's a song, what's it called? Albuquerque Lullaby by Dan Byrne. And I hadn't heard him for a long time. But he has part of the verse is, "Don't let your heart be broken by this world." And so just really, I frequently will have a song in my head for different periods of time that really, all right, it creates a pause.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I practice with clients all the time is you have to have ways of practicing the pause. You have to have ways of creating the pause. And whether it's visually with a piece of art or a sunset or the changing of the leaves or a picture of my granddaughter, or whether it's something that you listen to that helps you rest back in,
right,
and be able to pause.
Yeah, I think of songs as kind of friends. Over the years, I hear songs can take you back to a certain time or a certain feeling, and I love. We're sitting here in the studio of the Lexington Lab Band, and I've played a little bit with those guys, and their music, and just playing music with them is so fun and inspiring. It's challenging because they're all great musicians, but there's just something so intrinsically beautiful about music that brings that touches very deep.
Well, when the psalm says, if we don't, the rocks will.
Right.
Sing out. So I think we are creatures made to create. We are creatures made to give voice to what's going on. And in that respect, I love the Psalms because there's some really dark, life sucks Psalms.
Right.
And there's also ones that are just amazingly beautiful.
Yeah.
And so, like I say, if the rocks won't, if we won't, the rocks will.
Yeah.
Sing out.
Yeah.
And
that's good.
We're made to do that.
That's good. Well, Rob, as we kind of wrap our conversation up here, my hope is that a lot of therapists and a lot of young therapists will watch this. And that's one of the reasons I wanted you to come on, is to share some wisdom with them.
Yeah.
So what advice, wisdom do you have for young therapists getting into this work?
Well, I think I go back to two words I used earlier, and that's curiosity and flexibility. And I think there's a great quote by Jung that I'll mess it up, but basically it's learn all your theories, and then when you sit with another human being, set them aside. Learn as much as you can. Grab. There's so much fascinating stuff out there now. If I was, like I said, if I was 20 years younger, I can't even decide what new skill I would be working on. There's so much great stuff out there. So stay curious and flexible in your practice, and then have colleagues, have mentors, have people that maybe walk a few steps ahead of you, in their experience, in their practice. I have been incredibly blessed over the years to have. I've got two colleagues that I've worked with for 40 years. Pauline, nurse practitioner that I've worked with for all these years, and then another LCSW, Barb Waldner that I worked with, and Pat Willens that I worked with all those years. Yeah, have people that are solid therapists, and have those kind of people in your life.
Yeah.
our work can be very isolating.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I was in a really busy private practice, we would pass each other in the hallway, basically, because we're going into the room with the next client.
Mm-hmm.
So make time to connect. Make time to stay open.
Mm-hmm.
When I do supervision, I had somebody in supervision say, "Well, how do you handle when you get bored?" And I said, "I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear about boredom.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's story
mm-hmm.
is boring. So stay curious about the person sitting across from you.
Yeah,
they're going to teach you something.
Yeah,
and that's one of the other things. I have learned far more from my clients than I ever learned in graduate school. No offense, UK, but that's that's just the reality.
Yeah,
from my colleagues and from my clients,
yeah.
Those have been my teachers.
Yeah,
and it's we go way back.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the Adina House,
mm-hmm.
maybe
mm-hmm.
when we were at Comp Care.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's more like 40 years.
Yeah. 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 And yes to all of that, the isolation and the loneliness
mm-hmm.
that comes with just sitting in a room with another person
mm-hmm.
can be heavy. It can be heavy. And again, if you're good at it, sometimes you're emotionally tired at the end of the night, so you don't really feel like doing a whole lot, but it's essential. That's one of the reasons I do this podcast, and I play music, and I do I teach some and other things in my life to keep things fresh and exciting. And, I love doing this work as much as I did or more 30 years ago. And I know that you do too.
I'm going to be 72 next year.
Yeah.
I'm working less.
Yeah.
But it's really difficult to imagine not doing it. I figure I'm going to do it in some way, and whether it's actually across the room with someone, or whether it's writing or whatever. But I cannot imagine it. It still energizes and excites me.
Yeah.
To work with folks.
Yeah.
And to have colleagues and that you can enjoy a meal with and music with. Is special.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Rob, thank you so much for just your influence in my life. When we were meeting all those years ago, I was a young therapist and just needed a lot of guidance, and I had a lot of anxiety about doing the work. And you were just always, and you still are, just a very comforting presence in my life. And I'm just grateful for our friendship.
Very much.
I hope we can continue to go see Bruce Cockburn maybe
again. Bruce will be around hopefully again.
I hope so.
There's other people that we can we can catch up on.
Yeah. But man, I love you and I'm just so grateful for you. So thanks for stopping by.
Very much. Love you too. And it's a privilege.
Yeah. Thanks. This has been the Guided Podcast. Thank you so much for traveling with us. Have a good day.